No. Yeah.
We're going to go now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CHSAA Boys Bowling semifinal matches up today here between Chaminade and St. John the Baptist in Kellenberg and St. Anthony's, two very highly anticipated matches on varsity bowling today. Luca, take us through this Chaminade team.
Well, Henry, Chaminade coming as the first seed in this league, led by senior Aiden Kennedy. He's been their top bowler of this season. A couple of other key performers for the Flyers thus far. Alexander Fiorillo, very good. He's averaging a 182. Dan Tufano averaging a 196. And as we said before, led by senior Aiden Kennedy, averaging a 184.
Chaminade coming into this match as the 2 seed. They suffered a late season defeat. Chaminade is actually the 1 seed. They did suffer a defeat. Their only loss on the season was to St. Anthony's, and they're going to play St. John, the 4 seed, who is unfortunately playing with a blind. That is going to be an automatic 120 on Team B for them. They're only bowling with 2 bowlers on Team B.
Definitely, Henry. St. John's is going to have to overcome this, and it's going to be tough. A 120 is going to be very hard to overcome, especially playing against this #1 seeded Chaminade team. However, St. John's will always have a chance. As we saw, Chaminade ended the season, as you said, a loss to St. Anthony's in a hard-fought match. Yet both teams will be looking to come out with the win as we enter the final minute of practice time on the lanes.
Flyers coming into the season, again, that is their only loss. St. John the Baptist and the season an overall 7-3, a very, very formidable season for them. Those 3 losses coming in a 6-3 loss against Kellenberg, a 2-7 loss against their current matchup, Chaminade, and a 2-7 loss against the 2 seed, St. Anthony's. Is the practice time is up here, and we are just 20 seconds left here on the practices before we jump into these matches on your screen right now. As you can see in lanes 11 and 12, that is the Chaminade Team B matchup here against St. John's Team B. Just off the screen is Team A for Chaminade, and to our right we have the Kellenberg and St. Anthony matchup. Unfortunately, we were not able to get them pictured, but we'll be getting frequent score updates from them throughout this broadcast.
Well, Henry, going off of that, I think maybe we talk about a little bit about the Kellenberg and St. Anthony's matchup. As we said, St. Anthony's came off a late season win over Chaminade. Chaminade's only defeat of the season. St. Anthony's, formidable opponent, a likely opponent for Chaminade based off of seeding. St. Anthony's some pretty big contributors on this team. Andrew Schwartz, he's averaging a 180 on the season. John Camiro Marchiarlo, he's averaging a 185.
Yeah, and this is the team that you expect to come in, and this is the team that Chaminade wanted to play. They're hopefully going to play them in the semifinals. As just off screen, Coach Fitzgibbon giving the team a pep talk here and trying to rally their spirits. Right, and this is really a revenge game for Chaminade, who, you know, consistently year in, year out is one of the top teams in the CHSAA, really one of the top teams in the state in bowling. And you know, it's not often that you see them suffer a loss like that, and so hopefully they're able to rebound. They did, you know, take the 1 seed. They have the advantage playing against a team with a blind.
Definitely, Henry, and it will be really interesting to see if Chaminade can get back to their winning ways. I mean, just the past few years, I would say, or maybe about the past 7 or 8 years, Chaminade has really been the best bowling team on Long Island. They had a run where it was almost about 70 matches, I believe, unbeaten in a row at one point. So Chaminade definitely knows how to win.
And you know, Chaminade, they really excel in the depth. This is a deep team, one of the largest rosters here, and they have guys up and down the roster that can step in, come out, you know, be pulled up from those practice lanes in the event of a guy, you know, who might be struggling. They have guys averaging 156 on the practice lanes. You know, you could, that's Alexander Vopicello. You could easily see him, you know, stepping up if one of the guys on Team B has, you know, a bad day. And obviously you don't wish for that, but it's really great to have that backup just in case.
Definitely, Henry. And speaking to Coach Gerner, Coach Fitzgibbon, during the last few matches of the season, they even said that they're willing to take off the practice lanes and put them up onto the play on the B lanes, maybe even play on the A lanes. There's room everywhere on this team. So if one man's not on that day, there's no hesitation from the coaching staff to go down to the practice lanes and pull somebody up mid-match.
Right, same thing on the St. Anthony side, right? They have guys 155 coming off the practice lanes. That's a guy who can easily slot in to Team B or Team A if he's having a day.
So teams will be getting set to go here. So Chaminade versus St. John the Baptist. A teams will be on to lanes to your left, just off the screen. Our cameras will be focused in on the Chaminade B versus St. John's B team. They will be on lanes 11 and 12.
And teams just putting in that 120 blind. So that's going to be an automatic 120 in place of a bowler there. That is for teams who cannot fill the 6 required to field a Team A and a Team B for this competition. So for every player they miss, they get a 120 as Chaminade's practice lanes are coming off to a start.
Chaminade kicks off with a strike on lane 11. A great start for them.
As Alexander Fiorello starting things off really strong for Team A. And here's Dan Tufano, highest average on the team, and he knocks down a strike there on lane 11.
Beautiful toss from Tufano there.
As Matthew Calabrese is able to finish and close the open and grab the spare on lane 13 for Team B for the Chaminade. Right, interesting dynamic to start this game is St. John's on Team A. First frame.
On the other lanes, Kellenberg starting with a strike over on lane 21. Their B team, sorry, their A team rather, getting off to a strike against St. Anthony's.
Eamon Cullinan for Chaminade, looking to finish things out with a spare here on lane 12. And he's got it.
And he knew that one was going far, but he turns around, didn't even wait for the pin to go down. A great shot. On the A lane, St. John's picking up a spare.
Eric Arsenicos hitting a 9 on the first shot and then failing to close it out.
This is Brady Bosey for Chaminade on lane 13, and he just leaves one pin standing. So he will go to try to close the open. At Chaminade, B team could be kicking things off here with 3 straight spares during this first frame.
Right, Team B currently tied now with a score of 29-29. Brady Boss, a chance to give Chaminade only a single pin advantage here.
This could be big, however. Spares always helping with that multiplier, and he just misses that one wide right. So after one frame, these two B teams are going to be going at it tied at 29.
Team A just a slim 3-pin advantage here as they advance into the second frame.
Is that one a strike for the Chaminade B team? As Chaminade continues to try to move ahead. This is Arsenicos, a big strike for St. John's. And that will definitely help them try to come back on these B lanes. And the answer back straight away from Chaminade. Calabrese answers right back with a strike of his own as the B teams are going strike for strike right now. This is Cirillo for St. John's, and that's a strike. Brady Bossy for Chaminade answers with a strike of his own, and these two teams are both heating up early on here.
This game is neck and neck, just a 4-pin difference right now, and this is a game you're going to expect to be tight, even with the blind Arsenicos and St. John the Baptist. They are doing their best to keep things close, as Team A still waiting on lanes 8 and 9.
Yeah, Team B moving much quicker. The Team B match moving much quicker than the Team A match, as Chaminade's able to pick up the spare to open the third frame. And they are looking very strong on this B matchup. This one will be interesting.
Right, and so with the A team at a standstill, Kellenberg B team in a close match, just a 98 to 91 difference in favor of the Friars.
So Kellenberg doing well to stay in this one against a formidable St. Anthony's team. Kellenberg holding their own. St. John the Baptist also holding their own against Chaminade here. Chaminade currently leading 113 to 97.
Right, Kellenberg coming into this season Kellenberg 4-1 in league play. Only league loss of the season was a 2-7 defeat they suffered at the hands of Chaminade.
And current score in the Kellenberg versus St. Anthony's match. Currently, St. Anthony's leading the A match 118 to 101. The B match, however, very, very tight.
Brady Boss gets things kicked off with another strike, his second in a row. He's looking for a turkey in the fourth frame.
Here's a strike from Cirillo from St. John's, and he won't be happy with that one. 3 pins left standing. Has to pick up the spare to keep St. John's in this before Chaminade can start running away with it. Here's a shot from Cirillo. He nearly picks up that spare. 1 pin left standing, so a 9.
So Cirillo's going to leave the open. It's going to be St. John Team B's second open of this match, and that could come back to bite them. And we were talking to Coach Fitzgibbon of Chaminade earlier this week, and that's the one thing he says. Sometimes it comes down to just a matter of a single frame, and maybe an open where you lose that spare multiplier or lose that strike multiplier could wreck your entire game, and that could be the whole difference. That was the difference when it came down to between Chaminade and St. Anthony's, and Chaminade's defeat to the Friars earlier in the season, as Arsenicos picks up 10 in the fourth.
And yet another strike for Chaminade there. That one from Eamon Callanan.
And so St. John's doing a good job to keep things tight early on, and Chaminade has jumped out a bit to a 38-point lead now. With Matthew Calabrese and Eamon Cullinan both bowling 60s, and Brady Boss with 9 on the board, but that total is much higher. He's waiting for those strike multipliers to add up.
And Eamon Callanan, one thing to mention, has not left an open frame yet. 2 spares, 2 strikes. Where's Bossy? And he just can't get that 3rd strike. Was going for the turkey and leaves 1 pin standing. So he will go for the spare, but that will bring his score up to a 38 now that that multiplier is over. He will try to pick up the spare. As Cirillo picks up a spare for St. John the Baptist. But Chaminade moving up to a much bigger lead now. They lead 206 to 151 as Bose gets ready for his 2nd throw of the 4th frame.
Dan Tefano has opened this game up with 3 strikes in a row on Team A as their game picks back up. Chaminade leading 129 to 95 there. The pin advantage over there. We just have a brief score update from the Kellenberg and St. Anthony's match.
So in the Kellenberg versus St. Anthony's match currently, both matches around the 4th frame. Kellenberg A leads 203 to 146. St. Anthony's B leads 133 to 103. So moving towards a split for the first set of matches between those 2 teams.
You're likely going to see that come down to pin total, and those matches can be a nail biter. That is our Senecos on lane 12. Leaves 4 and is able to drop another one. He's got 7 down in here. There's Eamon Cullinan.
Yet another strike from Eamon Cullinan, his 3rd of the match. And Chaminade B really throwing well right now. Through the first 2 frames, it looked like this B matchup was going to be pretty tight, but Chaminade starting to run away with it now as we enter the end of the 5th frame.
Things a little bit closer on Team A, just a 31 pin difference. Of course, that not close to the actual score. We're going to have to wait till the end of this game to see when all those strike multipliers add up. But again, Dan Tefano starting things off with 3 in a row at turkey.
And he will go for the 4-bagger as he steps up to open up his 4th frame. And the roll from Tefano hits the pocket and just misses 1.
Tefano leaving the 9 pin there, is he's not able to go for 4 in a row, but that Chaminade Team A is been lights out. A 9-pin open from Aiden Kennedy, the only blight on that team's score sheet so far.
Cirillo will leave 1 standing.
And Tefano picks up an open of his own. Misses the strike there. Still the leading pin holder for Chaminade with 87 down as we head towards the bottom of the 5th frame for the Flyers. Is Aiden Kennedy, the senior of this team, looking to close things out strong. Has not had a strike in this match so far. He's gone 9-pin open, a 9-pin strike, and an 8-pin strike.
And there is Kennedy's first strike. Hits it to open up the 5th frame for him. So maybe that'll get him going as he looks to regain some confidence in this first game.
Kellenberg Team B still struggling. Score is St. Anthony's leading there by about 70 pins over on that matchup. And right, St. Anthony's the 2 seed here against the 3 seed Kellenberg. They're the St. Anthony's has the advantage certainly over Kellenberg. St. Anthony's again one of the teams expected to reach this final match along with Chaminade. That was the 1 and 2 seeds, but you never know.
And a little fist pump there from Calabrese. He was ready for it. So Chaminade right now leads 285 to 210 in the B matchup. of course, St. John the Baptist playing with that blind as they were not able to field a complete B team. In the A matchup, it is currently 232 to 200 in favor of Chaminade. As this is Callanan, and Callanan yet another strike. He is really throwing well right now for the B team. And that's a turkey for him through frames 4 through 6.
Eamon Cullinan averages 171 pins a game on this season, which is the fifth highest total on this Flyers team.
And Arsenicos, a beautiful ball there. Had the split, a tough shot, 5 pins left standing, and picks up a very impressive spare, trying to keep St. John's alive in this B matchup.
Chaminade's Team A still nursing a 30-point lead here at the bottom of the 5th frame. Aiden Kennedy.
And a strike from Bose there for the Flyers, adding to their lead.
Aiden Kennedy with his reality ball, a 15-pounder, a 16-pounder. It's got a late hook there that stays flat, a very mellow, mild hook there, and he's not able to get him down. He leaves 2 on lane 11.
And Arsenicos hits a strike for St. John's, a good strike for him. Kellenberg
Again,
in a tight matchup on the A lane, currently 322 to 321. So that Kellenberg really sticking with St. Anthony's over there. That's going to be very interesting to watch, especially as we head toward the end of this first set of games.
Last score update we got from that side of the bowling alley, Kellenberg was tied. Team B was down by about 30 pins, and Team A was up by about 30 pins. And again, you expect that to be a very tight game there in the 2-3 seed.
However, Henry, I've really been impressed with how this St. John's B team has been sticking with it. They are really putting it to the Flyers, and it's very tough. And even on the A side, that's been a very tough matchup. For the Kellenberg St. Anthony's matchup right now, St. Anthony's leading 366 to 318 on A. They also lead 334 to 322 on B. So this is still a very, very tight matchup. Kellenberg only trailing by 12 pins on the B lane. So it'll be interesting to see how things shake up there as we enter the second half of this first game.
Chaminade a 115 difference on Team B and a 46 pin advantage on Team A is Aiden Kennedy set to bowl next for the Flyers,
and Callanan picks up a big spare, yet to leave an open frame through 7. Current score saying a 139. Did pick up that spare. He will have the multiplier, but a really impressive performance for him thus far. Especially he's averaging 171 per game this season, looking to break that, and looks like he might be on pace to break that in this first game.
Ian Cullinan only at 139 through 7. Definitely a chance to break and, you know, excel over that season average.
Cirillo shooting an 8 on his first shot for St. John's. As he goes to try to pick up a spare, it's a tough split. He'll only get 1 and will leave the open, and the open's really starting to kill St. John's B team right now. They trail 404 to 287.
Brady Boss knocking down the easy 3 pins to complete the spare. Now you're seeing Team A on your screen for Chaminade. D'Antefano warming up, wiping his ball down.
And D'Antefano, 5 strikes currently in the match. He's performing very well for that A team. He's been their leading scorer. Aiden Kennedy as well, 5 strikes and a spare.
And D'Antefano knocks down a strike on lane 11, his 6th of this match.
And that's twice now that D'Antefano has shot a turkey in this first game for the A matchup. Really leading the charge out there.
D'Antefano putting on a very, very impressive matchup. He is Chaminade's leading pin average with 196 per game, and Chaminade's going to need him to put that number up if they want to beat this St. John's team and to beat the winner of Kellenberg and St. Anthony's. Again, our last score update, St. Anthony's was ahead in both games as our Senecos leaves 3 on 13.
And currently right now, A team in a matchup for Chaminade versus St. John's is in the toward the end of the 7th frame. Chaminade leads by 72 pins. And on the B matchup, Chaminade B leads by 126 pins. Chaminade will be looking to take that 2-0 advantage going into game 2 as we get towards the end of game 1.
And Team A again, slowly creeping that lead up for the Flyers, sitting at 71 now, but you're going to expect that to take a big jump here towards the end of that game as some of these players might lose those multipliers. And Matthew Frick does not, as he grabs a strike. Right, and of course those multipliers are added after a spare or a strike, the strike being the highest multiplier. Right, and that's going to get you the ability to get all the way up to 300.
And a score update coming from the St. Anthony's versus Kellenberg matchup. St. Anthony's A up to a 23-pin lead. They lead 462-437. On the other hand, Kellenberg has jumped out to a lead. On the B matchup, they lead 469-449.
Right now,
currently in the 9th frame.
On your screen, the Kellenberg and St. Anthony's, both matches there. As you see, they are very close to finishing in the final frame on Team B and nearing that final frame in the 8th here for Team A.
So it will be very interesting to see how that plays out, Henry, especially if they manage to split games. Kellenberg, remember, the 3 seed coming in to these playoffs. St. Anthony's, the 2 seed.
Matthew Calabrese just off camera knocking down another strike, his 4th of this matchup for the Flyers, sitting at 155. Eamon Cullinan sitting at 155 and Brady Boss sitting at 131 here.
Cullinan, however, will have that multiplier from the spare he shot in the 8th frame as he steadies himself and looks for a shot. Backs off a little bit and he will leave 1 pin standing.
Just a little bit too close to the center of that 1 pin there, not quite in the pocket, and he leaves the 10 pin. So our Senecos trying to finish off the strike, the spare there on lane 11, not able to get down, and the 8 pin leaving the ball in the gutter. Right, that could be a huge open for Team B. It's already dealing with a blind.
Well, Henry, you just said it. Team B for St. John's, leaving a couple of opens, and now the blind really is not helping them at all. So we'll see what happens. However, it's really looking like Chaminade B is going to take the win. Barring a miracle in this first game, they lead by a difference of 114 pins.
Team A has continually built on that lead. Difference now 120 with D'Antefano rolling 176. Going into the 9th frame, he did lose that strike multiplier, but a chance to keep some multiplier alive here if he can close out the spare, and he does.
And then Tufano, a very impressive showing, up to a 196. Exactly his average. So Tufano sticking with what he's known for, high average games. He will look to break 200 in the final frame. So a little bit of a break in the action. Aiden Kennedy will bowl for the Flyers, and a strike from Kennedy, the senior captain, puts up a strike.
All right, so coming out of this first matchup, Chaminade looking to take both games, Team A and Team B, for the Flyers, securing victories here with 130 pin differences on both sides. It'd be very, very difficult for St. John's to pull something off, and so Chaminade likely coming out of this first matchup with a 2-0 lead here.
And one thing to note on the other lanes, Kellenberg looking like they're going to be taking one of the matchups against St. Anthony's. They lead 490 to 460 on lanes 19 and 20 as they look to try to take one of the two from the set over there to our rights. Chaminade and St. John the Baptist both coming down to the end of their first set of games, as they both matchups have entered the 10th and final frame.
The leader for St. Anthony's, or for Kellenberg on Team B, that is Memphis Ling, rolling a 169.
So Matt Calabrese will take his final shot of the first game. Picked up a spare, so he gets that third shot here in the 10th frame.
Excuse me, that was not Memphis Ling with the 169 on Kellenberg. That was Team B. It's leading. Highest score is 169 there.
Calabrese seals it off with a strike, and a very, very strong performance. A 195 to finish it off on lane 12 for Chaminade. Arsenicos will hit a strike for St. John's on his first shot of the 10th frame.
Fiorillo looking to close things out with a strike, and he does. A 238 on the board for Fiorillo. An extremely impressive performance for a guy averaging 182. That could be his season high, or at least very close to it.
A big performance in the playoffs for Fiorillo there. Dan Tufano will hit a strike for A, and Varsity A, or excuse me, Chaminade A will be taking a win in the A matchup. They lead 614 to 457, a 157 pin difference.
As James Dardola sends one into the gutter on lane 10, trying to get the strike. As on lane 12 is Arsenicos trying to close things out, and he does.
So at 145 to close things out for Arsenicos. Kellenberg getting one of the victories over St. Anthony's, a 510 to 496 win, and that's a big win for Kellenberg if they want to say in this one. The other game over there is starting to finish up. Just one bowler left with their final toss of the match. Callanan will miss the spare for Chaminade. He will finish on a 202, leaving the open in the 10th frame. He averages a 181 on the season, so a 202. He will beat his average. Very, very strong performance. And Brady Bose will be the last bowler. He'll take a strike in his shot. Rather, my mistake, that was Cirillo with the strike for St. John the Baptist. Both will be ending up for Chaminade in just a minute.
Yeah. Patrick Connors, the bottom of the 10th frame. His last chance here. As he does finish the 10th with a turkey, 3 strikes in a row, and brings his total all the way up to 173. And that leaves St. John the Baptist Team A at 487. The Flyers sitting at 614 with a 127 pin lead.
And Brady Bose hits a strike for Chaminade B to open up his 10th frame. That's a turkey for him. And in shocking fashion, Kellenberg has won both matchups for this first set of games against St. Anthony's. A 623 to 588 win on A and a 518 to 496 win on B. And we were saying for this whole broadcast so far, Henry, we really thought that St. Anthony's was going to be the team that would jump out and Chaminade would, hopefully we would be seeing a Chaminade St. Anthony's final, but Kellenberg really stepping up their game today.
St. Anthony's the only team to not take down the #1 seed in this tournament, Chaminade, and you really expected them to come in here hot and try to finish the job again in the finals tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. here at Wantagh Lanes. That game will also be broadcast for both the boys and the girls CHSAA finals. As Jonathan Cirillo is able to close things out and finish with a 205, a very formidable first game for Cirillo.
And Henry, I just want to mention, I think if St. John the Baptist doesn't have this blind on the B lane, this is a very tight matchup. The difference only 104. Bose will finish off with a turkey, so the final difference will be a 105. And that blind comes back to bite them.
Yes, certainly, especially just an 105 pin difference, right? That blind being 120, and of course a blind is a player or an absent player when both teams aren't able to field full six-man roster. 3 for Team A, 3 for Team B. They receive a blind, which is just in the 120 automatic pin score for that team. And again, right, if you have a guy who's, hitting 180, Jonathan Cirillo 205, you get a guy matching that, and this game is certainly much tighter, especially as Team A begins to open things up even more as they crack things to a 148, now a 158 pin difference as Aiden Kennedy knocks down 6 on his first, and coming in with his spare ball, the T-zone.
And it will be interesting to see what happens now in both of these matchups. St. John's, of course, playing with the blind. They will be down 2-0 to Chaminade. On the other hand, Kellenberg and St. Anthony's may have to make some adjustments to try to beat this Kellenberg squad. Kellenberg really performing well. So final statistics for game 1. We'll go through. So for St. John the Baptist, Patrick Connors will finish game 1 with a 173. James Dandola finishes with a 114, and Matt Frick will finish with a 200 in the A matchup for St. John the Baptist. For Chaminade A's matchup, Alex Cirillo a 238, Dan Tufano a 245, highest scorer thus far between Chaminade and St. John the Baptist. Aiden Kennedy with a 166.
All right, so a struggling, and Aiden Kennedy, the senior, the leader of this team, struggling a bit, but again, being picked up by Alex Fiorillo and Dan Tufano coming in with back-to-back stellar 238 and a 245 respectively. That is certainly what has kept Team A into this game, and that's really how Chaminade has functioned this entire season. It's never one guy doing it all the whole season. Everybody steps up and has their time. As we head over to the other two matchups between Kellenberg's Team A and Team B and St. Anthony's Team A and Team B.
St. Anthony starting off strong. It was Andrew Schwartz. He averages a 180 for St. Anthony's. Kicked things off with a strike in the first frame. Has a 9 open so far in the second as he prepares for his second shot, trying to get a spare. It gets St. Anthony's going, and he picks up the spare. 1 pin needed, knocks that pin down, as he will look to try to get St. Anthony's back in the win column against Kellenberg.
Minas Manataris, 164 pin average on the season. Not able to close things out. He finishes with a 9 pin open.
So Chaminade and St. John the Baptist will be getting ready to start their second set of games. However, to our right, on the other lanes, Kellenberg and St. Anthony's have begun their second set of games. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we also have the stream of the girls' playoff matchups also available. John Baccio taking the play-by-play for those matchups as well. Once again, entering the second set of games here, I'm Luca Mucciardi alongside Henry Farber, live from Wantagh Lanes for the CHSAA League Playoffs. So Chaminade will prepare, and we will begin on the Chaminade versus St. John the Baptist second set of games. Alex Fiorillo kicks things off with a 9 on his first shot of the second game, and it's Alexander Frick with a 8 open for St. John the Baptist on the A matchup. For the B matchup, a quick start for St. John the Baptist.
As now on your screen, we slide over to Chaminade and St. John's as they kick things off for match 2 as Arsenicos starts things off strong with the strike.
So Arsenicos kicks St. John's off with a strike. Callanan will be up for Chaminade B. And that one, wow, very center, still manages to knock down all 10 and a strike to kick off his second game.
Cullinan a bit off, but still able to find the pocket and knock down all 10 as we remain perfect in this match 4. Or should I say 3? Bowler's gone, 3 strikes, and Jonathan Ciarello continues that with a strike of his own.
And Henry, we mentioned it after the first set of games that St. John the Baptist B team, that blind really held them back. They also had a couple of very big opens that they left on the score sheet. But you can see, you can visibly see how happy they are after kicking this second game off with back-to-back strikes.
And St. Anthony's score update there. The Kellenberg A team leading by just 22 pins, and their B team down by just 12. Again, Kellenberg came back to take both games on both lanes for Team A and Team B. Kellenberg up 2-0 in their competition against St. Anthony. Chaminade also up 2-0 in their match. And if you're wondering how that scoring works, 3 matches played between each team. So Chaminade's B team will play 3 matches. It's 3 frames. Chaminade's A team will play 3 frames, and a team will get a point for beating the pin total of the other team. Right, again, Chaminade led the pin count for both matches, so they are up 2-0. They received 2 points for that. Right, things got wiped clean here for the second match, so 2 more fresh points up for grabs here between both teams. And that continues on to the third game, and then those last 3 points in the scoring to be divvied up between the total pin count. So you're going to add the pin count for Chaminade's Team B, all 3 matches, add that up and compare that to St. John's pin count for all 3 matches from Team B, and you compare those. Whoever has the higher number will get a point there. You do the same thing for Team A. That's your 8th point. And then the 9th point is you add all the pins up for Team A and Team B between all 3 matches for both teams. And you compare that to the other team, and whoever has the higher, that's going to earn you that 9th and final point.
And this is a very interesting situation going on now in the Chaminade St. John the Baptist B matchup. St. John is playing with that blind, but kicking things off, back-to-back strikes. So 2 strikes to start the first frame for St. John's, and now they've started the second frame with a strike. Cirillo will look to keep that going. On the other hand, Chaminade, both Callanan and Calabrese, with strikes and both, leaves 1 pin up on his.
That pin was waiting to go down. It wanted to go down, and at the last moment it said, "Nah, I'm gonna stay up," and robs boss of the strike.
And Cirillo,
very excited there as he knocks down another strike as Team B takes a 4-pin lead, their first time leading this afternoon, as boss not able to finish things off and leaves the 10-pin standing in lane 12.
And this is going to be very, very interesting. Both posted a 9 in the first frame, and now leaves the open, a 9 open in the second. That could come back to bite them. Right now, St. John the Baptist will lead. They lead by 16, and that blind currently working in their favor as Calabrese gives the little spread eagle celebration, rather I should say spread turkey celebration,
as he opens things off quickly with his first turkey of this match, and NSCHSAA now looking for a turkey of his own in the third frame, and that one looks good, but it just not enough, leaving the 10-pin. That is the most common pin to leave, right? That just happens when the angle of the ball is not sharp enough and everything just kind of slides to the left, right? And nothing, and the 10-pin is just left standing as NSCHSAA's trying to finish things off, and he does. And so he doesn't come away with the turkey, but 2 strikes and a spare. Not too bad for our NSCHSAA here in match 2.
This is very clutch play from the St. John the Baptist B team. They know that they have to step it up playing with the blind, and they've done so very well to kick off this second match.
Yeah, you're going to need near perfect play from Cirillo and our NSCHSAA if you want any chance here of taking a match here against Chaminade. And again,
and the turkey from Cirillo really, really throwing well right now for St. John the Baptist and keeping them alive.
St. John's with a 153 to 135 lead, but again, Matthew Calabrese is still at 0 again because of those multipliers. And we still have Brady Boss's third frame.
Aiden Kennedy with a big strike for the Chaminade A team. Their difference was only 4. However, the strike big and a spare picked up on the other side by Connors. So entering the 4th frame, but in the A matchup, Chaminade leads by a 2-pin difference.
Dan Tufano again starting things off hot for Chaminade too. 2 strikes and an 8-pin spare.
And Alex Fiorillo hits a strike to open the 4th frame for the Flyers.
Dan Tufano, the leading pin average for this Flyers team as Brady Boss on lane 11 for Team B is going to leave 3. A big 7-pin open. That could be huge. Boss already 2 opens here as we get a score update for the match between Kellenberg and St. Anthony's.
So currently in the A matchup between St. Anthony's and Kellenberg, St. Anthony's leading 301 to 281. In the B matchup, St. Anthony's also leads. They lead 192 to 163. And as things are going right now, Kellenberg and St. Anthony's will be heading to a third game tied at 2-2.
Right. And, you know, we saw this early on in that Kellenberg matchup where Kellenberg dropped off. They had, you know, about a 40-pin deficit, and they were able to just climb back and crawl all the way back. They just ate away at that deficit, and frame by frame they were able to close the gap and eventually take a pretty formidable lead that could certainly go to helping them win those third points at the end of this thing. That could be crucial if these teams continue to split games like that. It's most likely going to come down to who has the overall pin total, right? And those extra couple frames might be the difference for Kellenberg.
Arsenicos for St. John the Baptist now in the B matchup will be going for the spare. St. John's currently trailing by 1 pin in the middle of the 4th frame, and a spare from Arsenicos with that spare multiplier from the 3rd frame could be big. However, it is a split 3-1, and nearly gets it. Still very solid from Arsenicos as Kalinin picks up a spare to his right on lane 13 for the Flyers.
So it's still a 1-pin lead for Team B, and again, Brady Boss not having the best game here. 3 opens to start this game off. A 9-pin open, a 7-pin open, and then another 9-pin open. All right, and he's at 25, currently rolling behind the blind as he starts to heat up here with another strike. But again, St. John's Team B, a 1-pin lead. They're able to split the difference.
But so far in this Chaminade St. John's matchup, the star of the show really has been Cirillo for St. John the Baptist. Kicks things off with a turkey, and the celebrations have been very fun to watch. So let's see what he does entering this 4th frame.
We head over to the Kellenberg St. Anthony's side of the bowling alley here.
And Cirillo leaves 1 standing for St. John's. He thought he had the 4-bagger.
Kellenberg still leading on Team B. And just a very, very close matchup on Team A on those lanes. A little bit too close to call.
Dandola picks up a big spare for St. John's A team. They currently trail by 38. On the other side, for the B matchup, St. John the Baptist has jumped out to a 28-pin lead over Chaminade.
This is something you did not expect to see, a 28-pin lead. Again, nearly halfway into this matchup as St. John's bowling with a blind, a significant disadvantage there. As long as your players are able to just bowl, one guy has to bowl above that blind, and it's essentially free pins there. And
Calabrese leaves 1 pin standing, the 10-pin. So he will look to try to roll a spare here. Kick things off with an eagle, or rather a turkey, my mistake. And a spare in the 4th. Will now look for the spare in the 5th. As he will break 100 in the 5th frame.
The last time these two teams met, Chaminade took a 7-2 win over St. John the Baptist. St. John's still with a 9-pin lead on Team B and only an 8-pin deficit over on the A side of the bowling alley, as they are keeping things very, very close. We head over again to the Firebirds and the Friars. Kellenberg. And at our last update, Kellenberg leading both matchups. And then St. Anthony's was able to come back and, you know, flip that, and Kellenberg leading in the overall matchup 2-0. St. Anthony's currently up on both games. But again, those games just nearly over. Team B in the 8th frame, Team A only in the 6th frame.
And those Kellenberg-St. Anthony's matchups really flying by. I mean, it feels like we just started the Chaminade-St. John's second round of matchups. Meanwhile, Kellenberg and St. Anthony's coming toward the end of those second set of games. Aiden Kennedy for Chaminade rolls a strike as he looks to get things going. Once again, start off so well. In the first game, posted the lowest score on his lane. However, now shooting very well. Bose will take a shot now, and that one, he's not happy with that. We'll leave 3 standing as we get a score update from the Kellenberg versus St. Anthony's matchup. Currently, St. Anthony's B leading 363 to 346. A 17-pin lead for St. Anthony's B. In the A matchup, Kellenberg has jumped back out to the lead. They lead 520 to 404. A very big jump there.
So if things were to hold, Kellenberg would take a 3-1 overall game lead, as Sorello left 1 pin in Boss. Again, not able to close it out with another 9 pins knocked down. His total at 53 right now. He's talking to Coach Fitzgibbon for the Flyers. Sorello.
Cirillo picked up the spare for St. John's and continues a hot game for him. Currently at a 97. As we check back into the Kellenberg versus St. Anthony's matchups. And one thing to mention, we said it a couple minutes ago with that score update. Kellenberg, as of right now, would be jumping up to a 3-1 overall lead going into the final set of games. Remember, also that bonus point for total pins at the end of the matchup. But Kellenberg, a win, if they could go into that third set of games up 3-1, a win could send them through to the finals. Meanwhile, Chaminade will be looking to close things out against St. John the Baptist. But a strike from Dandola will keep St. John's not only in the A matchup, but leading the A matchup. They lead by 23 pins. Tufano disappointed with his shot for the Flyers. Leaves 3 pins up, and it'll be a split.
Tufano disappointed after a very strong 245 in game 1.
So a little bit of a delay here in the St. John the Baptist versus Chaminade B matchup, as one of the lanes is trying to be reset. However, in the A matchup, it is currently a 24-pin lead for St. John the Baptist.
So we're going to jump over now to the Firebirds and the Friars, who also are having a Main difficulty there over on lanes 19 and 20. And a score update again for that match. St. Anthony's B, a very tight game, just a 445 to 424 lead, and Kellenberg A still clinging on to a 581 to 562 lead there. Again, both of those teams splitting. Kellenberg was able to mount a comeback there in match one and take an overall 2-0 lead on the series, and now they are splitting the second match there.
And one thing to mention staying with the Kellenberg versus St. Anthony's matchup. So Kellenberg currently leads 611 to 579. That is the total score. And we are on perfect game watch for Memphis Ling. This is for the perfect game. He gets it. Incredible. No, my mistake, not nearly a perfect game. 11 straight strikes. He had an open in the first frame.
11 straight, that's going to be a very, very high score for Memphis Ling, though, over.
And wow, the 9 open. He could not have been closer to that.
Just a single pin away from a perfect game.
But that will be the highest score we've seen today. Very, very strong, and that should be enough to give Kellenberg a win on the A lane.
And he gets it done with the third, a 2-7-9 over on lane 20 for the Kellenberg A team, and Memphis Ling, the highest averaging player in this tournament, averages 204, is able to knock down all 3 strikes in that 10th frame, and again, a near perfect game. He was 1 pin away. A 9 open in the first.
And that will give Kellenberg a 641 to 585 victory.
Right, and that might have just broken things open for Kellenberg again. Talking about those last 3 points where the total pin advantage for both the overall team and Team A and Team B are at stake. Again, that could be huge as a 279, nearly doubling what St. Anthony's was able to roll. Right, but again, also a very strong showing from that St. Anthony's Team A. As well, as they are still up in one of those games.
So we're trying to see the score from the B matchup between Kellenberg and St. Anthony's. As Cirillo hits a strike for St. John's B. Brady Bose will be up for Chaminade. He's had a rough second game, at a shooting of 53 right now. Trying to get himself going halfway through this second game. That one looking good, and a strike from Bose.
Again, St. Anthony's, the updates over on there. St. Anthony's 585 to 641, and St. Anthony's B, a 501 to 479 lead over there.
And that one going into, they're in the 10th frame, so that will be close. That will be interesting to see how that B matchup ends up, because Kellenberg could seal the deal, I believe, with a victory on that B matchup.
Yeah, just a single victory there. If Kellenberg is able to bring things out, just a very, very slim 22-point majority over there. Kellenberg's able to win. That would give them a 4-0 victory, and they would need to just hold on to a point lead in a single one of those games, or the overall total pin, not point lead, pin lead, excuse me, or just win a team A or team B win over in match 3 as we bring things back to the Chaminade versus St. John the Baptist side of the bowling alley, the battle of the Reds here. And Chaminade, the #1 seed in this tournament, has the advantage here is St. John's Team B bowling with a blind. And again, Chaminade showing why they deserve the 1 seed is Team B crawling back.
And Aiden Kennedy hitting a strike for Chaminade A. That will be his. And Cirillo, wow, very excited after yet another strike for him. And what a game from Cirillo. That's 5 strikes for him now. Also a spare in there in the 5th frame, 9 open in the 3rd, or in the 4th rather. But a very solid game, and it's only a 3-pin lead for the Chaminade B right now.
Yeah, a 3-pin lead and an 18-pin lead for Chaminade. So just overall 21 pins between both of these teams. That's an extremely close difference, and that's a difference between just 1 frame.
Brady Bose ends the 7th frame with a very solid strike. That's 2 strikes in a row for him.
He started this match off a bit slow and was able to pick things up as Matthew Calabrese leaving much to be desired on that shot, leaving 4 up. And he started things off hot with a turkey of his own, followed it up with 2 strikes, 2 spares, and then another 2 strikes. And pulling a 144 so far into this match in the 8th frame.
Coach Fitzgibbon giving Calabrese a couple of wise words as he goes for a tough shot here. Very, very awkward split set up for him.
Yeah, at some point here, you're going to have to knock down the 7 and the 10 pin. I mean, his best option here either going to be going for that 4 pin or maybe the 8 pin, right? Trying to bounce the 4 pin into the 7, and then the ball knocks into the 8, which will then subsequently knock into the 10. And
well, here it comes, and he is going to go for that 4 pin, and the ball just doesn't bounce for him.
Not enough bounce there for Calabrese, but he's able to get 2.
As things are starting to finish up, and the B matchup between St. Anthony's and Kellenberg, the final bowlers taking their last shots. And from what we can see here, St. Anthony's leading 577 to about 540. And a big shot to end it off for St. Anthony's. 2 of their bowlers shooting above 200, a 216 and a 221. As we take things back to the Chaminade versus St. John the Baptist matchup, Callanan with a tough split here will look to get it, and does. What a fantastic shot from Callanan.
Yeah, Eamon Callanan able to knock down the 2nd 8 pin in a row, and he's able to close it out, and he closes it out this time with a spare last in the 7th frame. He left that 8 pin open, and great finishes.
And Cirillo with the turkey, his 2nd turkey of the game for St. John the Baptist, and he's shooting very, very well right now.
Cirillo on pace for a very, very high score here, and as we get in the final scores.
So St. Anthony's will escape with a victory in the B matchup. A 587 to 562 victory. So 3-1 Kellenberg going into the 3rd and final matchup, and that's going to be really interesting because St. Anthony's, if they manage to win both of those matchups and the total pin count,
you could easily see a huge
comeback.
Yeah, a 6 or a 5-point swing there from St. Anthony's. If they take those last two on Team A and Team B, they have a shot. I mean, they're going to need to win by a lot of pins, but these matchups have been close. Just the difference is in this Team B matchup, just 25 pins. And of course, Memphis Lings 279 going to play a huge role in preventing that from happening, because Kellenberg just needs 2 points to take the overall victory and advance to the finals. That will be played here again in AMF Wantagh Lanes tomorrow. And that'd be the winner of Chaminade versus St. John the Baptist, and Kellenberg and St. Anthony's will play each other in the CHSAA finals, as Boss again missing the strike. Right, not his best showing. Averages 165 on the season.
However, Brady Bose was at a 53 going coming out of the 5th frame with a 53, and now at a 110 at the start of the 9th frame. So really turning things around in this game, finding his rhythm, as Calabrese will not be happy with that first shot. We'll have a split left on lane 12. He's at a 110 right now, coming off of a spare in the, it's rather a 170, my mistake, coming off an 8 in the 8th frame, and nearly gets that pin across, not able to. So 179 going into the final frame for Calabrese.
As our Senecos warms up and wipes down his ball, we do have a final for Chaminade on Team A. They do take the second matchup by a score of 581 to 523, so they are up 3-0 in this series. Hopefully, Team B for St. John the Baptist trying to get something done, as our Senecos again barely leaving that pin.
And that pin just bouncing, balancing, just needed a little bit more to go down.
And here's Cullinan, responds with the strike of his own in the 9th frame. It's a 19-pin lead for Chaminade. Things might come down to this last frame. Ciarello has been on fire for St. John the Baptist. If he's able to close this out with 4 straight strikes, this easily could go in favor of St. John the Baptist. Again, bowling with an automatic 120. Right, sometimes that blind does help you if you weren't going to have a player that was going to even get to 120.
So our Senecos picking up the spare here would be big for him. Currently shooting a 129.
Every single one of these shots as big as our Senecos. Not able to get it done in the 9th.
And leaves the open. So he's at a 138 going into the 10th frame. But this is what we've been waiting for, Henry. Let's see what Cirillo can do in the 9th frame. Coming off the turkey.
Before Cirillo, we're going to see Brady Boss again go for his 9th shot. This could be big. Boss leaving 4.
And just,
although that is a favorable set of pins to lead. If you're looking for the strike, right, just gonna have to basically throw that as hard as you possibly can down the center, and Cirillo nails the pocket and he gets it. Gets it to drop, and Cirillo, a 4-bagger, completing that in the 9th frame.
and that one barely falling, Henry. Wow. One of the pins just comes across at the last second, and Cirillo able to knock down all 10. 4-bagger for him as Bose misses the spare, and we'll enter the final frame.
St. John's a 17-pin lead now, with 3 shots left. That could be huge for Calabrese.
A
As he
big
gets his
strike.
first strike.
And that was a beautiful roll from Calabrese, too. Hooked well, gets it right in the pocket. Almost no bounce on that ball whatsoever. So as the A teams watch on, Calabrese will take his second shot. And we'll leave 2.
So one more shot for Calabrese to close this out with a spare if he's able to do it, if he's able to knock these down. That'll give him a very formidable round here. And he does get the spare, so he'll come out of the 10th frame with a spare and a strike, leaving his total just shy of 200, 199.
A very solid total for Calabrese.
Again, his first game total was 195. Right as Arsenikos leaves the 7. Again, Arsenikos not able to close things out. Just a little bit too hard, pull things a little bit too far to the right. Is Cullinan now in his final frame as he grabs a strike. That could be huge for Chaminade.
And that will swing the pin lead to 14 in favor of Chaminade. As the Kellenberg St. Anthony's teams will get off to their start of their third and final set of games.
Kellenberg leading 3-1 in that series.
Arsenik goes to pick up the spare, and that one
Just
nowhere near.
Not enough hook.
So Arsenikos will finish with a 147 for St. John the Baptist. Cullinan leaves one standing, it balances and won't go down, so he will try to end things off with a spare.
Chance for a 180 here for Cullinan, otherwise it would be a 179. And he's got it. No doubt about that one. As he finishes with 180, and Brady Boss, his max score again in this match would be 148 if he's able to pull 3 strikes in a row here. Again, a 33 pin lead with Sorello, who's 4 strikes in a row now to close, to bring things into the 10th frame. These final shots from Boss could be the difference, as Sorello a chance to add 30 points. Right as we bring things over to the Kellenberg St. Anthony's side.
And Cirillo will wait for Bose to go. Wants to see exactly how many he's going to be chasing. Entering the 10th frame as Bose's first shot is
a little bit too far, not enough hook. Wasn't able to get it into the pocket, just quite not there, and he's still able to grab 7.
And a huge strike from Cirillo. The pin deficit cut down to 10. And Bose is really going to have to kick this into high gear.
So Bose needs to knock down 1. Just one. If he knocks down 1 and Cirillo does not get a strike, Chaminade will take the win.
Bose aiming for 1 pin here. Well, how about all 3, Henry?
And that
just needed 1, gets all 3.
And now the fate of this game falling onto the hands of Jonathan Cirillo.
Cirillo currently on a 5-bagger.
A chance to win it with a strike, which
And one will stand.
He leaves one, and Chaminade takes. And that will actually give St. John's the lead there with a just 5-pin lead, is a chance to make it a 6-pin win as Team B for Chaminade falls for the first time this match.
Bose will have one more shot, remember. He did pick up the spare. So this one is very interesting now, and it will come down to, this is a mind game situation here. Cirillo needs to knock down one pin. Bose, though, could end this game off.
And he needs 6 to win it.
He gets 9. And that should do it. And that will put Chaminade up 4. Oh, Cirillo will let this one go slow. He will get the spare. And Cirillo will finish up with a very impressive 246. But Chaminade will win by just 3 pins.
A clutch 7-pin spare from Boss to in the 10th frame gives him that extra chance and edges out the Cougars by just 3 pins. And you'll look at that score sheet. Right, again, so many opens on the board for both of these teams. Any of those, a chance to keep that multiplier alive for the strike of the spare, coming down to just perhaps one single frame.
And 4 opens from Arsenicos. He pulled very well, but those 4 opens come back to bite, and that would have done it. If he could have converted on 1 or 2 of those
Even
opens.
that 10th frame, if he was able to convert, he would have gotten another shot, and that might have been the differences.
But a very impressive showing from the St. John the Baptist B team, especially bowling with that blind as their first player.
As we head over to the Kellenberg side. Kellenberg, a 3-1 lead on the day. A total 3-1 is Team A in a neck and neck game, tied at 113 apiece. For Kellenberg, off the back of a Memphis Ling 279.
Ling will now step up for Kellenberg, kick things off with a strike to start his 3rd game, and then a 9 open, and we'll get 9 again on lane 20. We'll look to try to convert on the spare.
And again, the score update here for the Fire Burn matchup is St. Anthony's Team B leading 121-96. So if they're able to hold on to that lead, that would make things very interesting. And Team A tied at 113 apiece. And again, right, Kellenberg leading 3-1. If St. Anthony's was able to take both, it would come down to pin differential, and that is something that Memphis Ling's 279 might come in to play for.
And a spare picked up there from St. Anthony's. That one from Andrew Schwartz. As we continue on here, currently the Kellenberg A team leading 140-133 in that matchup. In the B matchup, 142-136 in favor of St. Anthony. So still very, very tight as things will start to get going once again between Chaminade and St. John the Baptist.
Some clutch final frame action from Brady Boss to give Chaminade a 3-pin win for Team B over St. John the Baptist Team B, who again are bowling with a 120 blind.
However, I do not believe that, as Chaminade already sealed victory, Henry. I do not believe so.
Well, Chaminade again winning both sides, but again that margin on Team B was so slim. There is a chance for Team A for Team B, for St. John's, to just overwhelm Chaminade, and you know, if that happens, there is a chance for St. John's to take 2 points there. They could perhaps take the total points on the B side and win that third match for Team B, and that would be a huge 2-point swing for them. It's unlikely that they're going to win the total pin advantage just because Team A has been so dominant going up 2-0, but Chaminade just need Team A to win or Team B to win one of these matches, and they will come away with that 5th coveted point, and then at that point it will not matter, as again these matches 2-9, winning the 5 will of course win you the majority of the points, and that will advance one of these teams to the finals, again being played here in AMF Wantagh Lanes tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
And there will be a change on the Chaminade side.
There's Brittany Boss going to check out for Chaminade after a very shaky second game. Was able to come in clutch and close things out and give Chaminade the win, but Coach Fitzgibbons wants to shake things up, especially because St. John the Baptist Team B, Eric Arsenicos and Jonathan Ciarillo are playing on fire. They have been bowling some great shots. Ciarillo finishing things off with a 9-pin spare. If he was able to knock that pin down, St. John the Baptist would have won that match. This Calabrese starts things off for Chaminade, knocking down 9.
Dan Tufano started with a 6 for Chaminade, looking to pick up the spare, and does. Calabrese also picking up the spare for the Flyers, so a good start for them.
Again, Team A kicking things off with a very early lead as Alex Fiorillo opens things off with a strike, and Dan Tufano spare.
And Cullinan, very impressive, a strike off the left pocket, which you don't typically see from a right-handed bowler, but he may be able to make that one work.
Cullinan, a little bit of an unorthodox shot there, but again, makes it work. As a huge strike for him, is really everything matters here. And we have an update here from Kellenberg and St. Anthony's. Team B for St. Anthony's winning 214 to 201, just a 13-point deficit there. And Team A for St. Anthony's a 206 to 198 win. So as it's slated, that matchup would, if St. Anthony's is able to hang on to things, that matchup would go to points, to pin differential for the Team A matchup. The total number of pins knocked down from Team A for St. Anthony's compared to the total number of pins for Kellenberg's Team A, and again this for Team B, and then the total pins for both Team A and Team B combined. Right, and again, that's where Memphis Sling's 279 is really going to come in play, because again, great, you might not think it's necessary to win that specific matchup, but it could be huge if a game comes down to total pins.
Arsenicos picks up a strike for St. John's. D'Antufano not able to pick up the spare, so a 6 spare and then a 7 open to start, the 7-1 rather, through his first 2 frames. However, it was Alexander Furillo. He's 2 strikes in a row to kick off the 3rd game for the Flyers A team.
As James Dandola coming back to Team B from Team A. He and Ciarello making that switch. Ciarello was slotted in Team A at the beginning of today, and St. John the Baptist deciding to make that switch, and they undo that as Dandola and Arsenicos now holding down the fort on the B side for St. John the Baptist.
Cullinan picks up the spare for Chaminade. Kicks things off with a strike and a spare. So we'll keep the multiplier alive. Nearly a turkey there for Furillo. And that one just not going down. He leaves 1 pin standing.
Again, heading over
to the Kellenberg versus St. Anthony side, and a Kellenberg-Memphis Ling for Kellenberg, currently on a turkey and will be going for the 4-bagger. One of his teammates also shooting a turkey through frames 5 through 7. And it's going to be very big. Kellenberg leading 328 to 274 in the A matchup. And Ling will leave 1 pin standing, and a strike there could have really turned the tide in that matchup.
Yeah, especially St. Anthony's needing to win both of those matches to really even have a shot, because again, then it comes down to differential, and right, you don't really see an avenue where they have all 3 of those points. Right, and again, as our score update comes in, St. Anthony's B and just a slim 14 pin lead there, and St. Anthony's A team down 355 to 294. Excuse me, St. Anthony's down. Kellenberg has 357, so just a 60-point pin deficit for St. Anthony's to overcome. Again, that could just be the difference between the 10th frame for 2 bowlers. So again, things still very close. And a 63-pin deficit for Kellenberg and St. Anthony's, as that game nears as Team B crosses the midway point into frame 8, and Team A, Team B just approaching the midway as we
and
head
St. John's B
back
doing
over
very well
to the 1 seed versus the 4 seed matchup. Chaminade looking to close things out. They need to win just 1 of these games. They have a 13-point pin lead over on Team B in lanes 11 and 12, and a 10-point deficit. St. John the Baptist leads by 40.
And Cullinan picks up another big spare for Chaminade B.
And this is Alexander Vopicello checking in to Team B, replacing Brady Boas, who started the first 2 games. Vopicello on 156 pin average this season. This is a guy we talked about earlier who, you know, you could expect to come in if somebody is not having the best game. Brady Boas, right, getting sent to the practice lanes as Vopicello trying to close things out, but again, cannot be understated. Boss was the final bowler for Team B and was able to pick up a spare, and all he had to do was get 3 pins for Chaminade to take a very, very narrow 3-pin victory in Team in match 2.
And an interesting point to put in, currently in the A matchup, St. John's leading by 52 pins.
And again, that could have to do with a switch of their own for the Cougars. Jonathan Cirillo and James Dardola were swapped out as Cirillo was on fire, but that might come back to hurt them as Cirillo was really giving them a chance in that B match. And, you know, you wonder, James Dardola was struggling. Is he going to be able to put Kellenberg's Team B, or St. John the Baptist's Team B over the edge? Because, again, Chaminade just needs one. A single one of these games has to go in favor of Chaminade, and they head to the finals tomorrow. So, and Team A struggling. They're, you know, just a 26-pin deficit for the Flyers. Again, Jonathan Cirillo certainly has to do with that. A fantastic match for him.
And Dandola will leave 1 pin standing for St. John's as we check back in to the Kellenberg versus St. Anthony's matchup. Currently, Kellenberg leading the A matchup 475 to 418. On the other side, the B matchup currently very, very even. Both teams at around a 340. There's a little bit of technical difficulties over on the Kellenberg versus St. Anthony's matchups. So we will swing back to the Chaminade St. John the Baptist matchup. There's a big strike
From Fiorillo.
from Alexander Fiorillo.
He is trying to cut into that 79-pin deficit now, and right.
And a strike from Arsenikos.
Puts Team B for St. John's up by 8 pins.
And for the first time in this matchup, St. John's leads on both lanes.
This could be huge as, again, Chaminade just needs to win one of these matches and they take the overall thing, and that doesn't even factor in those final 3 points of total pins.
So Aiden Kennedy will be up now for Chaminade, coming off a strike in the 4th frame. As Cirillo hits a strike. And a very impressive showing from St. John the Baptist in this finals matchup.
And well, Calabrese with a strike of his own for Team B as they look to close things out for the Flyers off the backs of Team A for Chaminade struggling a bit, just a 55-pin deficit. St. John's certainly happy with that switch up they made. Team A now consisting of Patrick Connors.
And Connors, a big strike for Team A for St. John the Baptist, a 5-bagger to kick off this game. And St. John's leading by 85 pins.
Yeah, Connors 5. I mean, St. John's has just been absolutely perfect. Matthew Frick started things off with a spare, but his 4 strikes of his own is now for Team B. Eamon Cullinan in his 5th frame, trying to close out the spare, not able to knock down the 7-pin.
And Frick will hit a 5-bagger for St. John's, and they've taken a 111-pin lead. A very impressive showing over there, but Fiorillo answers right back for Chaminade with a strike of his own.
And you know, you're really looking at Dan Tefano here, who's already got a turkey in this match, to try to pull things out ahead and just keep that pin deficit close, because again, Chaminade, they did win the first 2 matches over there on Team A, so if they're able to just keep this one close, even if they don't, you know, come out with the overall win, those 2 wins certainly will be enough to push them over the edge and give them that point they need, because again, sitting at 4 points, they're just 1 away from taking the victory here and moving on to the CHSAA finals.
And we have entered the 10th frame in the Kellenberg versus St. Anthony's A matchup. This one coming down to the wire. Kellenberg currently leading 557 to 477 as Connors is the final bowler for St. Anthony's.
And again, St. Anthony's down 3-1. Right at one point they were leading in both, and they need to at least win one. They cannot afford to lose both of these games. If they do, that will give Kellenberg the 5 points they need. But if they win both, there is a chance there.
Well, Henry, sadly to say, for St. Anthony's, I don't think there is a chance. They are done. They have finished on lane 20. They will finish with a 479. Kellenberg still with 2 bowlers left, currently at a 557. And it seems as though Kellenberg will be moving on.
Well, that will be Kellenberg's 4th point. But again, if Kellenberg has won all 3 matchups for Team A, so again, that will 100% give them the pin advantage. So that would be the 5th point needed for Kellenberg. And again, Kellenberg Team A 557 to 479. That 479 is final for St. Anthony's. Kellenberg, still 2 bowlers left to go. That's Memphis Ling for Kellenberg.
And Kellenberg will add a spare on lane 21.
And again, Kellenberg's Team B, though, down by 24 pins in a 400 to 424 matchup. So St. Anthony's statistically not out of it yet. If they do manage to hold on, the score would be 4-1, and things would come down to the calculators as they add up the total points in all 3 of those matches, the Team A match, Team B match, and then the overall team match. As we head back over to the Cougars versus the Flyers.
Currently, right now, Connors lost the strike multiplier after his 5-bagger, was able to pick up a spare in the 6th frame. He's shooting a 139 right now for St. John's. Frick shooting a 159 as our Senecos leaves an open.
And here we are in the 5th frame of this game, the Kellenberg St. Anthony's game, nearly done. So again, almost certainly Kellenberg will advance from that one to the finals, knocking off the 2 seed potentially in an upset over there if things hold as we expect them to. You know, barring anything insane and over on the Team B match. And here, Chaminade up by just 18 pins in the 7th frame on the Team B. Team A for St. John's, though, an 81 pin lead, their biggest pin lead of the night over on Team A. Again, will it be enough to surpass the 2 wins that Chaminade had accumulated? Team A, again, won 2 of those games, right? You know, on the back of Dan Tefano's 240 and then 245. So again, 2 really strong showings from Chaminade. Team A might give them enough, and as long as they're able to keep things close, that point differential should give them that 5th point they need. Again, they are leading 4-0 in this matchup. 5 points still up for grabs, and if Chaminade is able to come away with just a single one of these matches, they will advance.
So Chaminade A did win their first matchup by about 100 pins. So St. John's will really need to step it up because it will still not be enough, even with the 80 pin difference. Remember, Chaminade also winning the 2nd game only by a few pins, of much fewer. It was not nearly as close to 100.
So a brief update over on the other side of the bowling alley. Kellenberg still down in that Team B matchup. So again, not mathematically out of it, although Team A taking all 3 of their matches would put them over the edge for that 5th and final point needed, and anything after that would just be a bonus.
Frick now for St. John's. Throws a strike, and wow, St. John's has really turned it on in the A lane. They lead by 120, and they're pushing for a big-time pin win. But answering back for Chaminade was Fiorillo with a strike of his own. And it looks like Kellenberg will be heading to the finals.
So again, Chaminade an 100-pin win in their first game. And so St. John's would need, and they also won that second game, so they would need to best at least 100 pins. Right, and again, and that could be in vain as Team B is starting to heat up and build on that lead with a 54-pin lead, and Aiden Kennedy coming in clutch with his 3rd strike in a row, grabbing a turkey to cut the deficit to just 60 for Team St. John's, Team A. The Matthew Frick answers back with a strike of his own. Arsenikos knocks down 8 at the 8th frame. So Chaminade a total of 100 and a 114 pin lead over the 2 games. So that would be what St. John's would need.
St. John's would need to win roughly by about 114 pins, somewhere around that margin.
And that is a big margin, as right, they would need to almost double that, double their deficit that they're holding against Chaminade St. John's, a 55-pin lead.
As Calabrese hits a big strike for Chaminade B and hits a little dance.
Celebrating that strike as Calabrese has got 156 coming into his final. A chance for 186.
And Chaminade leads by 39. Now 19 after the strike from Dandola.
And
Aiden Kennedy with his 2nd strike in a row, and Cullinan a strike on the B lane.
And so we do have confirmation over from Kellenberg's side. That matchup has finished. Kellenberg coming out victorious over there. They upset the number 2 seed St. Anthony's and will face the winner of the Chaminade St. John the Baptist match. And again, you never want to call things early as a broadcaster, but Chaminade a 4-point lead here in the total point as Vopacello knocks down 8. Again, Chaminade just needing to win 1 of these 2 teams, but again, of these 2 games. But again, it's so tight on both sides. Just 29 pins is the difference for the Flyers. An advantage on Team B and a 74-pin advantage for the Cougars on Team A. And St. John's, they need to win by about 114 pins if they want even a chance.
Volpacello, though, hitting a big spare for Chaminade B. They lead by 17, and Fiorillo hits his sixth strike of the game to kick off his 10th frame, shooting a 190 right now.
Fiorillo, a chance to just, all he has to do is really just mitigate the damage, right? It's unlikely that they're going to come out with this game as with a win unless, right, Aiden Kennedy's got 4 strikes in a row. He could do something huge here.
A strike from Calabrese to kick off the 10th frame for Chaminade. On the B matchup, they lead by 37 now, and if he can keep things going, he might be able to put this one out of reach. Frick hit a spare in his first 2 shots of the 10th frame for St. John's. Here's a shot from Fiorillo, a tough shot with the split there to try to get the spare. So Fiorillo will finish with a 209, a very solid outing for him. And Frick will hit another strike.
As he finishes with a 227, the deficit for St. John's, 75. Right, this is so close over on Team A. They need about 114 pin win to just take that game and then take the overall point total and steal 2 points away from the Flyers. But Team B just needs to pull things out and hang on to this 57 pin lead.
And the turkey from Calabrese helping to keep that pin lead. Chaminade leads by 57 on the B lane. Calabrese will look to end things off with a 4-bagger through frames 9 and 10. And Calabrese, not what he wanted there, will knock down 7 and a very solid outing.
And again, the switch here on Team B from Jonathan Cirillo to James Dandola, and Cirillo was on fire, and he is part of the reason why Team A is, for St. John's, is leading by so much. But again, Dandola struggling, and again, in a Team B that already lost their first 2 matches, they needed to be almost perfect to even have a chance to win. Again, they were almost perfect, and off the back of a struggling 10 frames from Brady Boss, St. John's still lost by 3 pins, so they need to be perfect. And again, you almost wish to have Cirillo at this point.
Definitely, Henry. Cirillo was really bowling well on this B lane. He's bowling well on the A lane as well, really helping to keep them in. Dandola hits a big spare after a gutter ball on his first throw.
71 pins for Team B and a 63 pin deficit for Team A, and it looks like
Chaminade is going to escape with it. Cullinan might have sealed the deal there with the spare. Chaminade leads by 73. Dandola will finish with a 165 for St. John's on B.
And so, no chance here for Arsenikos. A 70 pin deficit, right? A max of 30 points here in this 10th frame. He's really all he can do is just cut into the deficit and maybe earn his team 1 more point in that total pin differential, but
it's not going to matter anyways, Henry. The big win from the B team on Chaminade as the A team struggles. Connors with a 6-bagger. Rather a 5-bagger at the end.
But again, Aiden Kennedy, 5 in a row of his own. Heading into the 10th, a chance for 20. Just 2 more strikes and finish off a near perfect end to this match off, and he gets the second. 1 more to go, and this will be a huge addition. Just a 41 pin deficit for the Flyers on Team A.
And there's another strike from Connors, and it looks like St. John's will etch out a victory on the A lane, unless Aiden Kennedy can hit 1 more strike and try to get things going, but even then, I think it will not be enough.
But again, Chaminade closing things out.
Kennedy misses by 1 pin, a 222, a very solid last game from Aiden Kennedy, but St. John's will win on the A lane in the final game of the match.
But again, Team B taking a 93 pin victory as it stands. Arsenico still a chance for 3 more rolls, but again, that's not going to do much in the face of that. Team B is able to close out all 3 matches and earn Chaminade that 5th point, which will put them over the edge.
A strike from Arsenicos to kick off his 10th frame. But the difference just too much on the B lane, and credit to St. John's B playing with that blind for all 3 games and really sticking with it. They only lost by 3 pins in that second matchup.
Kept things close and really gave Chaminade a run for their money. They were forced to reach into the practice lanes and pull out Alexander Vopacello, and it seemed to work as they close it out on Team B. Team A loses their first match of tonight, but again, they don't. St. John's does not get that about 114 pin differential they needed to win a 2nd point. So again, that gives Chaminade another point over there. So that will be at least 6 for the Flyers, a chance for 7 and possibly 8. If Team B is able to hang on, it's at least 7, and you've got to assume it's going to be 8 points.
So Arsenicos will take the last shot of the day, and Chaminade and Kellenberg will face off
Arsenicos,
in the championship match.
His blue and white ball finds the gutter to end things off as we have finished both matches here today. Kellenberg advancing from the 2-3 side of the bracket, and Chaminade coming out with the victory over the number 4 seed St. John the Baptist. So tomorrow, again, the 1 seed Chaminade will face off the 3 seed Kellenberg after a big upset against St. Anthony's. That will be here tomorrow in AMF Wantagh lanes at 4 p.m. Don't want to miss that. That will surely be an exciting match. Memphis Ling, a name to watch for Kellenberg, bowled a 279 today.
So
again, that Chaminade only 1 loss on the season to St. Anthony's, so the only team that beat them not going to face them for the championship. Chaminade looking for yet another championship in what has been a dynasty of bowling over the past few decades for this Chaminade team. And Kellenberg, the underdogs, certainly in seeding and in reputation coming to this match, but Chaminade beating Kellenberg earlier in the season. But again, Kellenberg bowled against a strong St. Anthony's team that was the 2 seed that beat Chaminade. The things will certainly be very close. Going to need strong performances both sides on Team A and Team B.
So once again, final here tomorrow at 4 p.m. here at AMF Wantagh lanes. The Chaminade Flyers, the 1 seed in these playoffs, will face off against the 3 seed Kellenberg Firebirds after a big upset victory over the St. Anthony's Friars.
Again, we will see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. here from Wantagh lanes. I'm Henry Farber here with Luca Mucciardi. Chaminade versus Kellenberg, the finals. We'll see you tomorrow.